Okay, your test over surface area and volume is coming up, so this video is going to go over a lot of the important things you're going to need to remember in order to be successful in that test. First off, remember that the first part of your test will be you telling me each of these equations, given the name off to the right. So I will give you a name, either for saying surface area, volume, or area, and you will have to identify for me these equations. I will not give you a word bank, so you will have to know them to be able to write them down, and that's the first part of your test. So make sure to study these so that you will be successful. The bulk of your review, though, is going to be this packet right here. So we're going to go over again just some of these highlights that are going to be important. The first portion is just classifying. Make sure to check those with the answers on the back to make sure you can classify these, because before you solve a problem, you're going to have to know what it is every single time. The first section, then the next section, talks about just finding regular area. So you're going to use the formulas we looked at a minute ago. But what's going to be most important is being able to correctly identify your base and your height. Make sure that your base and your height are perpendicular, so all these little right angle markers are important, which means that for number 2, my base is 5.6 and my height is 2.1. Or on number 3, my base is 4 and my height is 4.6. So find that right angle before doing the rest of the problem. Make sure on number 6 that you are finding me the actual height. So you're going to draw that in and do the Pythagorean theorem in order to solve it. Remember, when you drop in that height, it cuts your base in half, since this is an isosceles triangle. On ones like 8 through 12, you're doing your compound area, so you're going to find the area of each individual part and then add them together. If we look at, for example, number 11, I have two regions. I have this half circle and I have the triangle. I would first identify your formula. So for example, my half circle, I'm going to do half of my circle formula. And for my triangle, I'm going to do my triangle formula, which is half base times height. In order to correctly do this one, though, I do need to identify this length right here, which is both related to the radius of my circle and the height of my triangle. And for that, you're going to do Pythagorean theorem. You're going to do x squared plus 11.9 squared equals 16.9 squared. When you do that, you will do 16.9 squared minus 11.9 squared, which gives you 144, so x is 12. What that means for me is my radius is 6 and my height here is 12. And then you're going to plug into the rest of your formulas. So for example, the base here is 11.9. And my circle formula would be there. This one does have a typo on the key, so make sure you correct it. It should be 127.9, I believe, feet squared. On number 12, the only difference is you're finding me the shaded region, so you will find the area of the whole rectangle, and then you will subtract out your triangle. So you will need to do Pythagorean theorem again as well. On 13 through 18, you first want to identify the formula of the shape you're talking about. So whether it's a parallelogram or a triangle, trapezoid, circle, square, rectangle, write down your formula. And then you're going to plug in the information you are given. So for example, here my triangle formula is 1/2 base times height. They gave me the area is 450. They told me the height is 30. And you're going to solve this to get your area. Or sorry, to get the base of your shape. On number 17, don't forget that I want the perimeter here, as well as on number 18. Okay, for 19 through 26, you're finding me surface area. Surface area is the sum total of the area of all the sides that you can touch, so we'll go over a couple here to make sure you have some good examples. On number 19, this is a trapezoidal prism, which means that I have 2 trapezoids and I have 4 rectangles. When you do your trapezoids, you're going to use your trapezoid formula, so 1/2 height, base 1 plus base 2, and then remember you're going to multiply that by 2 because you have 2 of those trapezoids. For your rectangles, what sometimes helps again is to draw them out. You know you're going to do base times height on all of them, but we need to figure out the dimensions of each of them. The one over here at the right is an 8 by 21. The one at the back is a 19 by 21. On the left over here is an 11 by 21. And the one at the front would be a 24 by 21. You'll do base times height on each of those, and then you're going to add all of your numbers together, and that will get your total surface area that you can touch. On number 2, this is a cylinder, so we have a formula for this. 2 pi r squared takes care of the circle on top and the circle on bottom. 2 pi r h takes care of that rectangle wrapped around. So here your radius is 7, your height is this 18, and you'll just plug that in. On 21, this is a sphere, so this is 4 pi r squared. On 22, this is a square pyramid, which means you have 1 square and you have 4 triangles. So this will work very similarly to the trapezoidal prism, but now instead of finding a bunch of rectangles, we're finding a bunch of triangles. Your square formula is base times height. Your triangle formula is half base times height. And remember here that you have 4 of them, so you'll multiply that answer by 4 when you are done. 23 will work very similarly to the one we already did. 24, 25, and 26 are all composite figures, which makes it a little more tricky. 24, I will point out to you, is directly from your notes, so I would go look that up if you need that. 25 gives some people a problem. When you do this one, the bottom part you can find by using your 4 pi r squared for a sphere and cutting that in half, but it is important to remember that I now have this additional circle up top, which means you will also do area equals pi r squared and then add those two together to get your final answer. On 26, for the cone on top, you only need this top part. You can't actually touch that circle, so we will just do pi r l. For the cylinder, you can do most of it. So we will use our full surface area formula that we talked about in a minute ago, but what you need to think about is that I actually cannot touch this circle right here where it's overlapping. So you're going to need to subtract that circle from the surface area of your cylinder. You also will want to think extra hard about how you find this radius right here. The hint I will give you is that you know the radius of the big circle, and you also know this 3. So use that to help you to get the area of that circle. For volume, we switch gears a little bit. You're figuring out the total interior space, and we just had 3 formulas. If it is a prism or a cylinder, your formula is volume equals big B times H. If it is a pyramid like 28 or 29, you're going to do 1/3 big B times H. For 30, since it's a sphere, is your 4/3 pi r cubed. The most important part of these is realizing what your big B stands for. Your big B is the area of the base, so it is not a number in your on your problem. It is a formula you're going to need to find. For example, on 27, my big B is a circle, so it's going to be pi r squared, or in this case, pi times 7 squared. This number will get plugged in for B whenever you find it. Your H is the height of your prism or pyramid. This H then is this 18, and I will just multiply 18 by this big B once I calculate it. The idea on 28 is exactly the same. My big B is a polygon, it's a hexagon, so it's 1/2 PA. The perimeter is 36 because each side is 6, and there are 6 sides here. The apothem is 5.2, so this number will get plugged in for the big B. And then the height of my cone, or sorry, of my pyramid is this 10. On number 31, be careful because you do not have the height of the base. So you are going to have to find that using your Pythagorean theorem from before. 30 and 32, you will use the same formula. You use this 4/3 pi r cubed, but on 32, you're going to cut your answer in half. It is simpler than surface areas because you're just figuring out the total interior, so you will just cut that directly in half. 33 and 34, you're just doing multiple volumes at once. So on 33, you have 2 prisms, so you'll do big B times H twice. On 34, you have a cone and a cylinder. So you will have to do two different formulas to get that. Okay, 35 through 39 all goes over things we talked about on day 7.5. 35, for example, you draw this picture, and I have this square here. Since it has an area of 100, I know each side is 10. This is a cylinder when I rotate it around, and then you will find the volume using that information. Remember that this 10 becomes the radius, the 10 vertically becomes the height. For number 39, remember we are cutting our 3D object horizontally and vertically. On your test, I will give you a picture so it's easy to tell which way is horizontally and which way is vertically, but go through these and fill in those answers, and then if you need help with any of them, let me know. Last but not least, on 41 and 42, or 40 and 41, we have a prism. So just sketch yourself a picture. We'll call this 10, 6, and 9, and it wants you to find me the volume first. That would be your big B times H. Then what goes a step further, oops, on yours it should still have this written. It says 10 pounds per inches cubed. Not sure how that got deleted on mine. And you will take this, if you know the volume, then you know and the density, then you can take it and multiply your volume by your density, and that will give you the total weight.